When I go to YouTube, YouTube is filled with movies, about concert clips, and really handyful do-it-yourself videos teaching me how to fix things in my home. When my daughter goes to YouTube, it's filled with Minecraft videos and people doing skateboard tricks. When my brother-in-law goes to YouTube, it's filled with amazing sports cars. And when my mother goes to YouTube, it's filled with exotic travel destinations she's dreaming of visiting. Because YouTube is really different from every person that uses it. And that's why it's a new medium. We have known TV for about 70 years, and all of us has a pretty good idea of what TV is. And for many people, it's more or less the same for everyone. But when I come out and visit clients, visit media agencies, most of them understand YouTube as the one thing they do themselves or the thing that kids do on YouTube. They don't really understand the breadth and the width of what people are actually doing on YouTube. So we really need to give our clients a better understanding of this new media and what's going on here. So we need to try to understand what people do on YouTube and try to tell that to marketing. So I come from the research marketing department. So what I do is not about doing user experience. I'm not removing this button and making another button over here. I'm really trying to help our salespeople sell more YouTube ads. And I do that with proving who is your audience, how does it work, in a mix of qual and quant, mostly coming from the quant world, but also doing qual. And this project, we really wanted to have real people and to do sales, research, marketing, combination stuff. And that's why we reached out to Bird, who's a local Danish innovation and research company, to try to help us get real people tell the stories of YouTube to our clients. And with that, yeah, welcome.
Thank you. We're a research agency called Is It a Bird? And when Carsten approached us, we found ourselves in a situation where we kind of have to balance these two. Balance real life and the life you see in marketing. Because this project had two scopes. We both wanted an analysis, like real insights into why YouTube is such a big part of people's life. We wanted their own stories. But on the other hand, these stories had to be used for marketing. So I'm not a marketing expert, but if we just take a look at this picture, I guess we can all imagine the young Scandinavian couple living here. And it's quite aspirational. I mean, I wouldn't mind my living room looking like that. Real life, on the other hand, it's a bit more messy and maybe not always as aspirational. So what we were thinking was, can we really use real life and people's own videos, home videos, in marketing's material? And can we do this without doing any sort of editing or making like a more aspirational picture? So that's what we set out to do. Before we get started, I'd like to tell you just briefly a bit about the process. First of all, we sat down together and talked about what the scope should be, the fact that it was both like an insights project, but also a marketing project. Next step was to conduct digital ethnography. We did this by asking a group of respondents in Denmark and in Sweden to make short films on their mobile phones. So over a time period, they made these small diaries. Then we got this material back. We had our first preliminary pattern recognition, loads of discussions and adjustments, and then we went back out in the field and interviewed some of the respondents. We went into their homes. We wanted the context of their YouTube usage. And it was also this great chance, to ask that one question you always want to ask when you go back from an interview, because we already knew the respondents. Based on this, a new pattern recognition, new discussions, and a quantitative survey. And all of this information was gathered in a presentation, which Carsten now uses today and will tell us a bit more about later on. which focused on the video material. So we thought about sharing our insights and videos with you today, but actually instead we decided to share with you some of the discussions that we've had along the way. So we'd like to talk to you about 3 issues. The first issue is the issue of quality when you hand over the camera to the user. The next issue is the issue of privacy when you literally get into bed with your users. And the third issue is the issue of authenticity when you kind of audition your respondents for the interview. So let's start with quality. So as mentioned, we asked the respondents to make short films of themselves during a longer time period. This is not the first time in history that respondents have been asked to document their everyday life with a camera. We've heard quite a lot about it the last 2 days even. But for us it was a really good method. For one reason, because we were studying video. We were actually studying YouTube where people filmed themselves. So in the content that we received, we did not only get their stories about YouTube usage, but we could also kind of observe their behavior with video. So one of the things we saw is that quite a lot of people, especially young people, they're quite used to filming themselves. You can see they feel natural in front of a camera, and they're quite good at it. So some of the videos we received, they had even like edited them before we received them. So they've cut them together in different ways and like really advanced, I think. However, not all of the respondents were, of course, these semi-professional filmmakers, and quality actually became quite an issue for us, something we had to take into consideration. We wanted to use this material in the final output. I mean, we wanted people's own videos to be the output. However, as you can see in the picture here, a lady, she told us that normally she uses YouTube in the library. So she went to the library, to the computer, and wanted to tell us about this video that she'd seen. So she starts out filming herself, telling us about this. Very nice of her to just set the scene, and then she put down the phone on the table. So the rest of the film is of the ceiling in the library. Not terribly interesting. And the thing is, I mean, no matter how good a story is being told or how relevant the point is, if the camera is jumping up and down or if the sound is really poor, it cannot be used for marketing. I mean, poor sound it's just never a quality. So when we were choosing which videos to use later on, we could not only focus on the insights, we also had to take quality into consideration. So moving on to the next issue, the issue of privacy. This is, of course, a picture from the in-depth interviews, not the digital ethnography, but I just really like it. Because in the digital ethnography, we asked the respondents to fulfill different tasks. So we gave them the tasks every morning so that they could complete them whenever it fit into their day. So what we wanted was like for them to show us the situations where they use YouTube instead of creating the situation or creating stories. So we got stories from loads of different places. A guy that always uses YouTube in his work when he can't figure out the computer programs, so he finds a tutorial. Or this couple that every evening like to watch YouTube videos before going to bed, so we literally got into bed with them. They were filming their bedrooms. So we actually felt we got quite close to the regular situations where people were using YouTube. One of the tasks that we asked the respondents to fulfill was to show us a situation where they were using YouTube together with others. And this woman in her 40s starts making a video, and she's clearly very drunk. So what she tells us is that her and her friends, they've got this concept called YouTube Drinks Night. It's a great concept where they go onto YouTube and they search for recipes and then they make the drinks. Yeah. So really good story, but it's just one of those situations where you're thinking, has she thought this through? Does this grown-up woman really want a video of her hammered to be part of Google's sales material?
And that's probably where we really had some discussions and went in and said, yeah, obviously these videos can be used as part of the pattern recognition, as part of the analysis, but we cannot in the end use this kind of materials, either people filming themselves very privately or obviously being drunk in sales materials, even if it would have been a great video, even if it didn't look odd in any way. We need to take responsibility as Google, as a research company, and sort of edit that out and just say we cannot use that, and then have it as background materials only.
Yeah. Yeah, so we, as a team, kind of had to function as a filter. I mean, of course, we had all the documents in place, and we were allowed to use these videos. But, I mean, we always have to function as a filter. I mean, we always have to respect and protect our respondents. However, we felt that this issue was highlighted due to the fact that we asked them to film themselves with their phones, which they were already doing for a longer time period, and due to the fact that the material was going to be used in marketing and would be more public than what the material we normally produce, which is only going to be used internally in an organization. Yeah, so the Drunken Woman, is not part of the final material. So let's move on to the last issue that we decided to share today. It's the issue of authenticity. So based on all these great films from the digital ethnography, we had another round of pattern recognition and discussed the insights that we'd like to revisit in the interviews and the respondents that we wanted to interview again. We felt that because we've been quite explorative in the beginning, it would be okay for us to look at certain subjects in each of the interviews. So we weren't going to talk to them about everything. We knew which respondents would be good at telling us the stories that we could use to highlight each of the insights.
So this is also where, instead of only having a brave out, choosing an agency, and then getting the results back, we met midways. So we met after the first part and sort of did an audition. And coming from a research background, it felt strange for both you and me. On the other hand, it was also necessary because the end output would be real people that we would try to present to our clients. And just as an example, we had this one guy that was living long out in the Swedish forests, and he was really using YouTube a lot. He was using it for making knives. Learning how to make your own knives, which is actually a quite good example of do-it-yourself using YouTube for a lot of stuff, which we are selling lots of, but not really a story you want to tell this strange guy sitting there making knives out in the forest. It's not what marketing material to cut off. So we needed to cut that guy out. And that felt kind of strange. We could use in pattern recognition. We could say, okay, people do use YouTube for do-it-yourself and stuff like that. But we needed to find another example because that was just not cut for it. And that's kind of the strange situations we came into. Another strange situation also, if you interview people, they might change during the behavior. So actually, the lady we have here is the same lady we have here. From first round to second round. And that's kind of difficult to explain to your clients later on if that same lady has totally different looks and everything. So you end up in sort of strange situations where it was this lady and this lady, that's the same. So we had to do that, sort of audition people for the final interviews. But as long as we had longer discussions about how to do it, and in the end we said it cannot allow us to change the results or the analysis. So we need to go out broad, but we also just need to say, in the end, we need to be pragmatic and choose the right ones to actually be brand ambassadors. That didn't mean that we chose all the beautiful people, or we chose all the people that only said the right things. There's definitely people saying stuff in there that is not as easy to present to clients, but we needed to find the right balance in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's something people know in the TV industry that some people just don't work on camera. But as a researcher, it's quite strange to find yourself in a situation where you're thinking, she just doesn't work on camera. Yeah. So for us, at least, some discussions that we don't normally give that much weight as we did in this project.
Yeah, one thing we did do was to text everyone. So we didn't have to really focus that much on how they were speaking. We let them speak in their native language, and then we texted everyone in English. Which helped quite a lot. So even people that wasn't really speaking that clearly, or if the audio was a little off, we could still save it. But they needed to work. Yeah. Maybe. So yeah.
Yeah. Did you have more comments?
No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Just to summarize some of the things that we discussed and learned through this process, was that when you really want to use real people, and especially you want to use their own videos in marketing's material, it's about balancing the two. When it comes to quality, of course you have to edit the material, but you should never make it too polished. At least that's what we agreed. I mean, if you want it to look like a commercial, then don't ask them to film themselves, because it never will. You have to see like a quality in the fact that it's rough. And the next point about privacy, well, sometimes you gotta edit reality to respect your respondents and the confidentiality. And the third point about authenticity, I guess we learned also as a researcher sometimes we like to edit reality more towards the exotic. I mean, I really like the story about the Swedish guy sitting in his basement making his knives. Yeah. But when we had to use it for marketing, it was more about the relatable. So the pointers were the same, but the way we told them was just different in this case.
And in the end, for us as Google, it was a pretty successful thing, but it was also a risk. There's definitely a risk to go out to your clients and not present something that looks like them. Because most of our clients are either highly paid executives in big companies or they're media agencies. They live in the capitals of the world, and they don't think that real people look like the guys and girls we had in this movie. They are coming from a very polished world of design and money and credit cards, and then they go out and meet the real people, and that's a risk. I showed this video to a media agency in Norway, and at the end, one guy came up to me and said, hey, we can't really, I don't want to sell anything to those guys. They are too strange. I don't want to sell to them. They're not my audience. And I asked him, hey, what is your audience? Which clients are you working on? Yeah, he was working on a car client, and he was working with one of the big travel agencies. And then, hey, don't you think these guys fly to whatever? They go on vacations. They have a car. but he didn't feel they should be part of his audience. For him and for us, in that case, it would have been much better to just revisit it all with actors and just film it and make beautiful commercials. That's just what we didn't want to do. So in the end now, every time I present this, I warn people. These are real people. Real people are scary. They don't live in big cities. They don't have a 6-figure income. These are real people, but these are the guys and girls that buys whatever shampoo you're trying to sell, whatever car, whatever travel to Thailand you're trying to sell them. These are the real people. meet your clients. And then it works really, really well. But you need to have that warning. Otherwise, the highly paid ad executives will get scared off. So it comes with a risk doing this, but I think it pays off very well if you just have the appropriate warnings. So I think that's all from us. Thank you.